right, here we are with another episode of the Cosmic Salon. I am your hostess, Nish. I have a very, very special guest here tonight, Linda Emmanuel. I had the pleasure of hearing her on the Michael Deacon program, my good friend Michael Deacon. Fantastic history here of working with her own body and healing. I want to bring this as a grounding foundation into this remarkable woman and all the information she has to bring forth and share. And then after that, we're going to move into some very, as they say in the field, very deep woo that is pertinent to everything going on right now and is very timely. And as always with this type of information, we are here to educate and hopefully bring forward information and allow the fear to fall away so you can confront stuff, look at it, and make wise choices for yourself. So with that said, I'm going to bring on Linda Emmanuel and welcome her into the Cosmic Salon.
I'm so glad to be here.
I'm super thrilled to have you, and I'm certainly grateful to Michael Deacon for bringing you to my attention as well. Give us a little information about where you come from in the world that brings you into the health stuff that we want to look at first here in the first hour.
Well, when I was 50 years old, I had always been searching for the truth about religion. I had given up for a while because I just was disgusted in it. And I heard about a woman by the name of Judy Goodman on the radio, and we were always taught in religion that psychics and soothsayers were of the devil. And she was given readings on the radio, announcing her seminar that Friday night, and shut the radio station down, actually, in St. Louis, Missouri. And I was determined to go there because I felt like I just wanted to hear what she had to say. And everything resonated with me. I had found my truth. Of course, you have to forgive yourself when you really are spiritually woke up. I asked for the full experience.
Asking you shall receive.
Meaning that I wanted to do whatever he asked, or Creator asked, or Source asked.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, like you just said, be careful what you wish for.
Yes. What happened at that point?
Well, I had nobody to talk to about it, and I was told by Judy Goodman. I never got to speak to her one-on-one, but I was going through some times breaking up with a boyfriend. I had to make some decisions, and I decided to turn my life over to God. And she had told me that someday you'll be a great teacher, and you'll do great wonders, And I'm like, me? I had low self-esteem. I couldn't make eye contact. I kind of a wretch. So I had to spiritually grow. I had to. I studied. I've watched read a lot of books and everything, just like everybody else probably does. And I had a reading with this man in New York. He was a type of Edgar Cayce. He was intuitive. Can't quite remember his name right now. I was having a foot problem. He was a healing and intuitive herbalist. And it was over the phone. I wasn't familiar with him. And I said, he's just going to ask me questions and he's going to find out that I have a foot problem. Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing out of his mouth, I didn't say anything to him. He said, I'm getting that you have a foot problem. It's not your foot. It's your spleen. Mm. And he did some herbs which would clean out my spleen. But that wasn't the issue going on. He was a channeler, and he started channeling. And he said to me, do you know you are chosen? And I said, no. And he said, now, this was February 1st of 2001. And he started channeling, and he said, in 2003, death will walk the earth, and you will tell people where to go to be safe. Scared the badookies out of me. He asked me, do you know what they mean? And I said, no, do you? And he said, no. So I never forgot that. A couple months later, I met a man, fell in love with him. That October, he broke my heart. Trauma, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I immediately ended up with, over time, like in a matter of months, lupus, Crohn's, fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, MS.
Oh, all the autoimmune.
Lesions in my brain.
Yeah.
And I was bedridden. In 2002, I was in the fetal position in bed. I kept saying, well, I'm not supposed to die. Remember, I'm supposed to do these great things. I never could sleep. I was so depressed. I would have liked to have died, but I knew I better. And I always believed that something bad turns into something good. A friend found it on the internet on February 28th of 2003. These are like monumental moments. And he said, I found it. I found out what's wrong. And it was a bioweapon our own government had unleashed on us in the 70s and 80s. And they modified it and made it into AIDS too,
Yes.
HIV.
Yeah.
And it was a cell wall deficient bacterium that can go incognito in your body. It's a nucleus of a bacterium. It's the ones that cause the disease, needs a host to make it replicate. Well, I didn't believe it. I was just like all the other herd out there. I didn't believe it. I called Donald W. Scott up in Canada, who was the whistleblower. I said, is this a joke?
Mm-hmm.
How come doctors don't know about this? Well, it wasn't a joke. And being a curious mind, I'm a why person.
Yeah.
I wanted to know why I had chronic fatigue, that I couldn't walk 10 feet. I wanted to know why I was so depressed I wanted to die. I wanted to know why I could never sleep even though I was tired. And I found all the answers to that studying the researchers, the Mycoplasma researchers' papers and his journals. But they didn't know what could kill it. They had no idea. So I went to a Mycoplasma conference in 2005 and got to talk to Dr. Harold Clark, who was the keynote speaker. And he said to me, try to find a tetracycline IV that could kill it, but not kill it, but inhibit it.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it out to the universe like manifesting. I said to Source, if you want me to get well and help people, because I thought this was the prophecy, okay?
Yeah.
Tell people where to go to be safe. Find me a treatment. Well, I had a list of alternative doctors, and I called them all. And near the end of the list was a doctor in Alabama. And I called him, and he answered his phone. He's alternative. Remember, doctors don't know about this. And he said, I've cured AIDS, I've cured chronic fatigue, and I've cured diabetes. All mycoplasma diseases. So I went down to Alabama, got 2 treatments of mild silver protein IV, knocked it right out. Went to the doctor that week, negative for lupus.
Oh, my God.
And I felt so good. Oh, my gosh. Like a weight lifted off my chest. When you're sick with mycoplasma, you have big black bags in your eyes, you're chronically fatigued, you're depressed, you might have all hormonal imbalance. It causes all that. When Donald W. Scott blew the whistle on Fort Detrick, you got about maybe 20 hits on Google about mycoplasma. Now you get about between 7 and 10 million. I haven't Googled it lately. But people...
Will you tell us a little bit about mycoplasma in general? Give us just the general scoop on it.
Okay. When all cancer and all disease are infections, whether it be tuberculosis, whether it be typhoid, it's always like either viral, bacterial, fungal. Mycoplasma does not have a cell wall, and it's anaerobic, meaning oxygen kills it, and it does not live in the presence of oxygen. And it needs a host. It's a parasite. Think of it this way. When the host is dead, it's called decomposition. When the host is alive, it's called cancer or disease.
Wow.
That's what I tell people. It needs a host. And this is the way it's triggered. Cancer and disease are always triggered, or could be triggered by 3 things. The most common way mycoplasma is triggered is through trauma, emotional, or physical. And what happens is mycoplasma and all bacteria and viruses and fungus live in acidity. And we have to stay alkaline, our blood, to keep from the bacterial, fungal, or viruses from living in that environment. Mm-hmm. So when you have a trauma, emotional or physical, it could be a loss of a job, it could be a breakup of a boyfriend, breaking your heart, it could be a divorce, it could be a fall off a chair. When that happens, your body suddenly becomes acidic. And mycoplasma monitor 3 things. They're laying dormant in a degenerative cell. They monitor your pH. They monitor the oxygen level in your blood or your body. And they monitor your immune system. How many times have you heard of somebody, they'll get one infection and they'll get gang banged by 5 others, Yes. That's how they all gang up on you because you're weak.
Are mycoplasma always part of our system?
Okay, like I said earlier, they do have a purpose. When you die and you have no oxygen in your body, they activate. And if people, this is kind of an easy way to look at it. You see a dead cat laying on the road and somebody says, you don't touch that cat. It's full of germs. That's the organisms that are breaking down your body. If they're in your body, they will break down your body, but it's called cancer or disease.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you always will have them. How you can suppress them and keep them dormant is they live in acidity. So you want to eat an alkaline diet. Your pH is determined by minerals, and you want to eat more alkaline minerals in your body than acid. And the only source of alkaline minerals are in fruits and vegetables, period.
Okay. Yeah.
And soda is so acidic that it's dangerous. And mycoplasma absolutely, just like other bacteria, needs sugar.
Yes.
Just keeping off of pure sugar will help you fight a mycoplasma infection.
Is there a difference between, saying, having raw honey as opposed to, I mean, we all know that refined sugars are terrible, but in fruits and vegetables, we do find natural sugars. And then when we amp it up a little bit, say you want raw honey in your tea, are we at threat? If you're already out of balance, is that something that you should take a break from at first?
Well, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
But
well,
I have noticed.
I'm going to put that in the notes. You are not
Okay.
giving medical advice. Neither one of us are doctors, but we are talking through opinion and experience here.
Okay. I have noticed that if I eat like a lifesaver, or if I was sick with a mycoplasma infection, and if I eat like a lifesaver, which is pure sugar, I'll have a flare up.
Yeah.
There's something about that sugar that they put in, what is it, corn syrup?
Yeah.
That sugar, it seems like that sugar they put in candy is death if you have a mycoplasma infection going on.
And when you say having a flare-up, what does that feel? What is that like for you? What is a flare-up for you with having had this experience of some extreme autoimmune issues?
Well, autoimmune diseases are mycoplasma. I could list you some mycoplasma infections and people will go, oh my gosh.
So what's a flare-up for you?
Well, in April and May this year, Queens, New York was under attack with the frequency, the 5G. They were testing the waters.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what was going on. It so traumatized me. It made me so acidic because I was so traumatized by all those people suffering that mycoplasma, which was laying dormant in my body, activated. And I went through some horrific damage back in 01 to 05. And it picked up where it left off. And I was in so much pain for 2 months. And I have all kinds of different ways to kill it. But for me, the easiest way to kill it was the mild silver protein IV.
Yes.
And an acquaintance, Dr. Taylor, administered a couple IVs. It took a couple times because I really was sick. I was so traumatized, Nish. Oh, I was just so upset about it. I know I shouldn't have been, but those people suffered, and we won't talk about that. But I'm okay now. But so I absolutely don't let sugar, any kind of candy, pass my lips.
Because if you piggyback sugars with a stress event, you're actually supercharging an acidic environment that causes these mycoplasmas to come in and start wreaking havoc, correct?
Exactly. That's correct. Yes, because it can't live without sugar.
Yeah. Well, the stress, though, then becomes part of the fuel.
The environment.
Yeah. So when you first were diagnosed with all these autoimmune issues, and when you got to these healing modalities, especially finding the silver, how did your transition from being extremely unhealthy to finding a balance in your system, how long did that take? And what were the basic protocols at that time that you went through?
You have to stay alkaline. What happens is alkaline and acid minerals bind and neutralize. So let's say you drink that can of diet soda, which is death worse than regular soda.
Yes.
Well, the blood has to balance. It has to stay between something like 7.25, 7 is neutral, to 7.45. And soda is like 1. So your body has to balance the blood. It will pull calcium, which is alkaline, out of your bones and neutralize that acidity in your blood. Otherwise, you'll die and your red blood cells won't carry oxygen. And the cells, though, are another matter. When you're drinking that diet soda and you're eating sugar is acidic.
Yeah.
The cells do not balance. They become acidic and become a perfect environment for a mycoplasma infection. But it takes some kind of an event usually to trigger it, like a sudden jolt of acidity, like a trauma.
Back to my question earlier, a little bit earlier, about the difference between processed sugars like Karo syrup and white sugar and all the processed stuff that we find in not great options for people to be choosing as as a form of food. Vegetables and in particular fruits, of course, are good, but they do have sugars. And I'm also wondering how, as I said earlier, honey, raw honey. When I speak honey, I'm talking about raw, unprocessed, get it from a beekeeper honey. Are those things we should also stay away from? Of course, the fruits we need, but what about raw honey?
Well, I've heard, and I haven't ever researched, if a bee lives a normal life, they stay healthy, and there's probably something, again, I'm not an expert on honey, but if it's a pure natural honey with no additives, I don't see any harm in it. It's made from nature. It's that sugar they process that the mycoplasma seem to like. And it's especially the sugar, I've noticed. Pasta turns into sugar. Anything that turns into pure sugar. If you have a mycoplasma infection, you should stay away from high sugar fruits. The berries are low in sugar. Like the ketogenic diet is a good diet to follow if you have a mycoplasma infection. In fact, people with brain tumors, their tumors have shrunk when they go on a ketogenic diet.
Okay. I follow the ketogenic diet. And in particular, I like the way Dr. Berg presents the ketogenic diet with a lot of wonderful vegetables in the mix and, the good proteins. So, and it works for me. And of course, intermittent fasting has changed my life in such a big way. So I'm a proponent of those modalities.
Some of the factors why people get sick, it's not just the acidity. Now this is going to get kind of interesting. How I got sick when you share body fluids. When you share body fluids with a partner, whether it be through the mouth or other ways, if that person is a carrier, you will get the mycoplasma and it will go into a cell that is degenerative and lay there dormant until activated by some kind of an event, an oxygen change in your body, or your immune system becoming suppressed. So it's very, very risky to share body fluids with strangers. Of course, everybody, this kind of sounds crazy, but a lot of people do that.
I find this so validating for me, Linda. I have a sense thing where it's an olfactory thing. I've my whole life been able to smell danger for myself, especially in some encounters. There was a year in my life I was wild. Everyone that listens to me knows that was in the mid 90s. And I swear that olfactory kept me safe. And later I started to understand this esoterically, but this is a big deal. And one of the things I bring forth in talking about sacred sexuality and all that, about respecting your temple, I'm in no way a prude. It's just about understanding that when we get into these interactions, we are truly enmeshing ourselves. We are intertwining our DNA, our cellular, our psychic bodies. Everything's coming together. And if you don't know the person, it just seems like folly to me. It seems it's reckless for one. And it also seems very dangerous. as well.
Or animal. It's just an animal act. There's no heart, head, in my opinion.
That act alone, though, is very acidic. If we're looking at it, not from a moralistic view, but just the act of, with the conscious mindset of this is a sacred act, no matter how down and dirty and sexy it is, if it's not really somehow brought into the idea that this is a sacred act where we're enmeshing ourselves to someone else, then we're already in an acidic experience. In my opinion, this is my opinion.
It sounds true. What you're saying, it makes sense. You're not really enjoying it in your heart. You might like an animal, but there's no love there really, I guess. And you might become acidic during that act. I mean, when you're stressed out, your body becomes acidic.
Yes.
When you're angry, your body becomes acidic. When you're depressed, your body becomes acidic. And mycoplasma will activate even more when the acidity in your blood increases. The mycoplasma flares up more.
And so this makes a lot of sense to me that we can give this to each other so that mycoplasma can transmit from bodily fluids.
Yes. And on airplanes, it can be aerosol. It can cross the blood-brain barrier. It's the smallest living organism. It's smaller than a virus. It's just the nucleus, the DNA strands of a bacterium. Has no cell wall.
That's interesting. Looping back to what you were saying with your partner, you were giving us an example of the transmutation or the transmission from one to another in your life. Do you think that's how you became so sick?
Oh my gosh, yes. But I look back at this niche. It was everything that led to me where I am sitting right now. I don't have any animosity, I guess that's a good word, against any of my partners that passed this on to me. I mean, I shouldn't say partners. It wasn't like I was hanging out at bars, but I don't have any malice. I realized that for me to do what I am doing, that I had to go through that.
Yeah.
And you have to go through the experience. I mean, it doesn't mean everybody has to, but I had to go through the experience to pick up the sword.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what happened was, I'll tell your listeners, I was dating a guy and he was crazy about me. Just like everybody else, you're sharing body fluids, right?
Yes.
And he told me every time we're intimate, I'd get a urinary tract infection.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
This is mycoplasma, okay? And he told me, it was innocent when he told me, he had no idea. He said to me, I have arthritis. That's mycoplasma. So every time he was, we're intimate, I was getting a big dose of it.
Oh my.
I would have to be on sulfur and I broke up with him. I said, I can't handle this anymore. Every time. Then it went dormant in my body. And there's all kinds of different mycoplasmas. Some live in the urinary tract, some live in the joints. Mm-hmm. Some go to the brain, cause MS and Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, Lou Gehrig's. It just depends where the mycoplasma likes to invade your body. So the mycoplasma, when you get a urinary tract infection and you have a trauma, it'll go straight to your joint. Mm. You'll get arthritis. You'll get rheumatoid arthritis or lupus.
I find this extremely personal because I had I think it was 1999, 2000, I was married at the time, but my mamo had passed at this point, and it was a tremendous stress event on my system. For whatever reason, at that same junction, I came down with Hashimoto's, it's an autoimmune, it's related to lupus and Graves and all those. And
it's caused by mycoplasma.
Yeah. Yes, as I'm now learning, I mean, I've been learning all along. This whole health journey is a continual process of learning. It's been a long journey of learning, for sure. I wish I could go back to me in 2000.
Oh, it made you who you are.
And it made me who I am, but I could have saved the decade I spent going through the allopathic system, screaming, I don't feel well, I don't look good. Nothing's good, and they're telling me everything looks fine on my blood workup and my numbers.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not healthy. I do not feel good. If this is good and healthy, I am out. This is not happy and healthy.
Right. Would you like to know the difference between Hashimoto and Graves?
Yes, please.
This is what Mycoplasma infections, the Mycoplasma attack you where you're degeneratively weak. So you may pass down, or your parents might pass down to you the tendency to get leukemia or diabetes or lupus or MS. You inherit your ancestors' genetic weaknesses.
Yes.
Mycoplasma, I tell people, doesn't the lion attack the weakest zebra?
Mm-hmm.
Also, Mycoplasma attack damaged tissue. Like in the instance, somebody like the post 9/11 workers got all that damage from the radiation from the towers coming down with the nuclear bombs underground. And they all came down with like a type of leukemia, and that was Mycoplasma. It was attacking damaged tissue. It attacks weak tissue and degeneratively weak tissue. People who smoke, the pharmaceuticals would love you to quit smoking.
Yeah.
It's damaging your lungs. And if you quit smoking and don't know how to protect yourself, you will get a Mycoplasma infection, because one of the protocols that kills Mycoplasma in nature is nitrogen, CHNO, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. They're called alkaloids. Certain alkaloids kill Mycoplasma. There's 61 alkaloids in tobacco. There's a study about Alzheimer's. The Alzheimer's patients got well wearing a patch, but of course the doctors didn't know why. If you would eat a tobacco plant, you would die. It would kill you. You can't do it. But in a small dose, like 15 milligram patch, you can get over a Mycoplasma infection, but it's more of an expensive way to do it. I wrote an article called, "Is it safe for you to stop smoking?" And people go, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, that's a provocative title. So when you're saying the difference between Graves and Hashimoto.
Remember, Mycoplasma attacked degenerative tissue. When people had the Hashimoto, and also the Mycoplasma is in a cell membrane. It's called an endotoxin. It's made out of a sugar and a fat. It needs fat. Everywhere in your body is fat. Your skin is fat. Your organs are encased in a sack of fat. The easiest place in your body for the Mycoplasma to uptake cholesterol, which it needs to replicate, is in your endocrine system. And your thyroid is part of your endocrine system where you make hormones. So the Mycoplasma is inside the thyroid gland, uptaking your cholesterol. And you don't make hormones. So you lose your libido, you might lose your hair, any kind of hormonal imbalance associated with thyroid. People who get Graves' disease, they have a degenerative thyroid. And when the Mycoplasma attacks a degenerative thyroid, it causes the thyroid to produce more hormones. It just triggers that.
Because this is a hyper form of it. There's a look. I've learned this now through alternative medicines and all that, but I can look and see who's hypo and who's hyper for sure. It's really easy to see.
What was the guy married to Radner? He had that. I can't think of his name.
Oh, Marty Feldman.
Feldman, yeah. He had Graves.
Yes. Yeah. He played
the hunchback in Frankenstein.
It's the bulging eyes, and there's a look. There's a look to it.
I'm going to tell you something. Marty Feldman had Graves' disease. Okay, remember, Mycoplasma is past body fluids, right? Yes. He's married to Radner. What was her first name?
Gilda? Was it Gilda?
Gilda Radner, right. She died of breast cancer. Mycoplasma loves breasts because they're just all fat.
Yes.
So what was probably going on? I mean, I wasn't there, but they were passing Mycoplasma back and forth.
Yes.
Because he had Graves' disease. He had a Mycoplasma infection. Then she didn't have the genetic weakness in her thyroid. She was vulnerable as breast cancer. She died of breast cancer.
Right.
So he passed it on. Another good example is Tom Hanks has diabetes. His wife, Rita, she got breast cancer. You get it, right? They're sharing body fluids.
Absolutely. You can look at couples all over and see this kind of chaining